Welcome to Solution Focused World. Today we're going to cover fostering resilience, tenacity, and grit. And after we cover the secret behind those three things, we'll dig, delve, and develop using examples. And if you've missed them, by the way, each episode for about the last 2 minutes rolls around in different examples for the topic at hand. Check them out. You might find them useful. This specific episode, however, was inspired by a friend of mine who was really frustrated with a bunch of his coworkers. He said, you know what you need to do? You need to tell people that sometimes they just need to move on and suck it up. And yeah, I can understand the frustration, folks, but that's not how it works. People want to succeed. They just do what they can when they can. And if they don't think they can do it, or they don't see the point in trying, they'll frequently choose to do nothing well than do something poorly. It just hurts less, which leads us to the secret behind resilience, tenacity, and grit. It's not toughness and persistence, it's hope and pragmatic action. Take me, for example. Most of my life I battled anxiety, and I kind of hit it pretty well because I wasn't a typical, I didn't have typical manifestation. What I would do instead is I would have impulse control challenges, and it really was most prevalent in social situations where, especially if I wanted to impress somebody or sound like I knew what I was talking about, I would come across as a bumbling idiot, and I'd get greatly diminished returns, especially if I was sleep deprived. The harder I tried, the more my brain would shut down. And then when I thought about what I really desired and what I hoped to have, then thought about what I needed to make it happen, and more specifically, the successes I've had, I was able to extrapolate forward. Our job is to ask the right questions to help fill in their paint-by-numbers imagination and memory. Paint by numbers, yes, when you think about something really quickly, you don't remember every fine detail, and when you think about what you really want, you don't think of every fine detail. Well, it's a paint-by-numbers picture that only has like every 10th number colored in. So we ask the right questions to get really vibrant pictures. That's our job. Get them to DAP. Tell you the descriptions, actions, and people involved of past, present, and future successes. So the descriptions, what does it look like? What's happening? Actions, what is being done? By who? And segueing to the people. Who's involved and what would they notice? What would they see? How will they know that it's starting to work on that good day where everything is coming together? It's also a misnomer that we don't talk about problems. We totally talk about problems, but we don't roll around in the problems. We acknowledge and validate so we can spring forward, because they're talking to us when what they're doing isn't getting them what they want. We just ask the right questions. We're curious seekers of imagination and memories to build forward. So when they start talking about a problem, acknowledge and validate, but then ask what will be different when it's working? What would they like to see instead? And how they'll know that it's working. And when you notice a nugget of immense strength, don't say good job. Instead, acknowledge that must have been tough. How did you get through it? Or if they drag themselves there that day and say, yeah, it's hard, but how did you get here? How did you get out the door? And help them realize that they are doing what they need. You just help them do more of it. When you get a complaint, a lot of people, not necessarily counselors, but a lot of people in general, it's common to tell the person they're wrong and tell them all the reasons why they're wrong. If you DAP, you can avoid that. You get them to DAP specifically. Descriptions, actions, and people, to have them tell you why they're wrong. Just ask curious questions. Two things that helped me a lot when I was starting: the great instead and small signs. Acknowledge and validate, but ask them what would they like to see instead. And specifically ask them what will be the first small signs that they'll see tomorrow when things are a little bit better. What's happening? Help them build it. Descriptions, actions, people. And sometimes daggers will come out towards you, and it usually will have nothing to do with you. It'll be the fact that they're frustrated and you're in front of them. Don't throw them back. What you do instead is ask them what their hope is in the end, and then ask if you can help them figure it out together. It's a lot easier if they're throwing daggers at each other, because then you just help them remember a time when they did work successfully together. Help them build that memory and then extrapolate forward. As a reminder, hope. You're hope builders, folks. That's the whole point of this. Resilience, tenacity, and grit are based on hope. You help foster that and develop that through getting people to tell you description, actions, and people involved in the successes, past, present, and future. And then some helpful little tips are the great instead, small signs, and then asking what else, what else, what else. And with the parting words of wisdom of Steve DeShazer, problem talk creates problems, solution talk creates solutions. In addition, find out what works and do more of that. If you found this useful, please consider liking, sharing, or subscribing, and stay tuned for upcoming segments. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.